back horns hit me with something like, yeah. No. Hey baby, I'm about to be real transparent with you. I've been waiting by this door, just to have a little conversation with you. So don't think I'm creeping. I just want your name. And maybe you can slide your digits too. Cause I put a lot of work in my game. Oh yeah. So baby, role play. Baby, won't you come and role play with me? Role play, baby. I know you know me, but let's switch it up.
Right, check. 1, 2.
Role play.
Like it, share. Here we go.
You be my nurse, and let me be your patient. And you be the you. I'm gonna be your student. So let me role play. Baby, won't you come and role play with me? Role play, baby.
I know you know me, so let's switch it up.
Baby, won't you role play? Hey, come on. You got 2 hands, let me see you clap before time. Yeah. And if you got 2 hands, let me see you clap before time. Yeah. And if you're happy, how you know it, and you ain't afraid to show it 4 times. Hey, lay back home, give me something real nice right here, 4 times. So baby, role play. Baby, won't you come and role play with me? Role play, baby. I know you know me, so let's switch it up. Baby, won't you role play? Yeah.
Boom. Once again, it is Between Sundays. Keep closing here. We got an awesome room. Jay Morris is missing today because he's out on the honeydew list. But nonetheless, we got some backup. Play the bass, boy. Listen.
Lay back horns hit me with something else like.
I used to play drums good like that, y'all, one day. But now I suck. Shout out to Spanky McGirt. He said that organists are some of the best drummers. I think that was his post. But I'm not sure it can be said about that guy.
Nah.
Nope. Ladies and gentlemen, Darian Brister. Take it away, sir.
All right, guys, welcome back. Between Sundays, episode 17. Again, we're a platform that we provide perspectives of the modern church ministry operation and the many nuances therein from the lens of worship arts and multimedia personnel. Glad to have you guys back with us. Come in the room, share. We should be up on YouTube, so if you want to check out YouTube, search Between Sundays. It should come up somewhere. I'm going to try to find the link and pin it on the Facebook side later on in the show. So I am glad to have a guest with us today. And I met this gentleman some time ago, and the first thing that stuck out with me, or to me, I would say, is really just the aura and how he carried himself. You know, some people might call that swag. But you know, his demeanor and his his temperament, and not only that, but just his, I would say, just his energy. His energy was evident from me even before he started touching his instrument. So we want to welcome to the Convo Lounge for Between Sundays, my guy Brenton Oakley.
Yo. How we doing, Darian? Appreciate the introduction. Super grateful to be here, man. Let's talk. Let's talk. I'm so excited about it.
So if you don't mind, I'd like to start with you just, in your own words. Tell us about your journey into music.
All right, so I hope we don't mind a couple shout outs. I'm gonna have to make
sure. Get them in.
I'm gonna have to get them, but
so you can look right in there for your shout outs.
Right in there.
Bougie.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Way. No, that's your camera. That's your camera today.
We gotta start. Shout out to Mom, right? Mom bought me my first bass when I was 16 years old.
Yes, sir.
I played it completely wrong. But well, shout out to Mom for buying the bass. I come from like real Pentecostal Jamaican, like church all night, joint night, all that type stuff, right? But I had seen, I don't know if he knows this, but I had seen LB, Lionel Barrett. We were from the same organization of Jamaican churches. And there was this one joint night, he had a 6-string bass, it was brown. And I remember just seeing the way that he played. And I was like, yo, LB, like, I probably never said it to him directly, but it made me go home and say, Mom, I want to play that. So I was 16 years old. And then moving forward, God just orchestrated me to meet my best friend, TJ Wilkins, when I was 18. And I was at a place where I was trying to get introduced to, I want to take it seriously, but I didn't have the knowledge, didn't have the technique.
Yeah.
And although he didn't show me too much on bass directly, mind you, TJ plays everything.
Yeah.
Bass, drums, keys, organ, sings, triangle, like he plays everything. Everything. But he really took the time to impart. And like we joke about it all the time, but a lot of the benefit that so many other people have that I've been really, really blessed and fortunate to play for is because TJ took in them developmental years for me, 18, 19, 20, 21, to really just pour out and help me learn. And there's a lot of people that I knew like early on as well. Chuddy, Rodney, a bunch of people that.
Chuddy.
Yep. She's Austin, I've known for years, but really, really grateful for them to be a part of my journey.
Yes, sir.
And I'm 29 now, so that was 11 years ago. And here we are.
Man, that's great to hear. I thought it was, at least for me, I thought it was very important to get someone like you on, mainly because of the role in which you serve at your church. The role in which you serve, I believe the misnomer in our church community is that lead roles are always either, the best singer, the choir director, or the keyboardist or organist. That's been a misnomer, that it has to be one of those three. And the lead role can't be someone that does not do one of those things. So that's why I thought it was very important that if we were able to, we get someone that operates in a lead role, but not from that perspective, to bring their perspective to this table. So if you don't mind, can you also give us just, I guess, a little bit of perspective and insight in terms of the role in which you serve your church?
Awesome. So, one, I'm under the leadership of Pastor Timothy Baldwin. That is,
I heard of that guy.
Yeah,
he's good. He's good. I heard of him.
He's a pretty decent
guy.
guy.
He the dude that dressed with the dope sneakers on.
Yeah,
he wears the dope sneakers and the jacket.
Yes, sir.
T-shirt and jacket. That's the signature.
T-shirt and jacket. He
really
wears the mic over here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like that guy.
Really fortunate to have met him, brought into the church by another musician when I was just in transition. I wanted a little bit more from church on Sundays, and I was playing, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled when I left. So friend of mine called me over to the church, and from the first day, I was like, yo, this is where I want to be. And I believe that might have been in 2016 or 2017, but we are at the same place in 2024. And it's been a journey, absolutely. But the role that I'm actively in right now, I am the music director there. And so a lot of what I would say my role consists of is, one, making sure that music is executed correctly. Because there's always the outline, right? So if we take a song, like, for example, we take Jonathan Nelson's "How Great Is Our God." We can all play the outline 1, 5, 6, 4. Right?
Yeah.
But there are all the intricacies of that opening, like what notes are played, and even the voicings of how they're played. Right.
Yeah.
So
yes, sir.
on bass, I think some people would find it a little bit challenging to do, but the first thing that I really credit is the time that I spent in hearing.
Yeah.
And like being able to train my ear and know, like, nah, that's a 7, that's not a 5.
Yeah.
You know, they sound similar, but that's a 7, that's not a 5.
Yeah.
Or that's a 2, that's not a 4.
Yes,
and that's
sir.
the first part. And the second thing is just coming prepared and knowing that, hey, not only is this what I'm doing, but your pattern is here.
Yeah.
These are the harmonies that you're supposed to play. You're not supposed to play the 7, 1, 3, 4 that we playing. You know?
Yeah. You're
not supposed to play that. There's a harmony that goes that I need you to play on guitar.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it comes with just making sure that the music is full, making sure the music sounds good.
Yeah.
And then the second part is I teach vocal parts in my church. So if harmonies aren't good, they come over and they look at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave, what's up, brother? How you, bro? Listen, I came to preach a word.
Yes, sir.
What's up, bro?
Yo,
we got lives on this John too. But when vocals aren't done correctly, it's not filling in. They looking over to me like, hey, where are we supposed to go?
Yeah.
So I learned songs to the depth of being able to sing in the car, the tenor, the alto, the soprano part. I'm able to do that before I come to rehearsal. And even if the key changes, that note is still the 3 that they singing. That harmony is still the 5 that they singing. So knowing where they start, where they begin, so that I can help, so that I can help out. But those are the things. And then I think the most important thing, like all that is great, but the most important thing is when the spirit is up, how are we navigating? Yeah. Right? What are we playing in this moment that's going to help to push the service forward? Yeah. And I feel like that's my biggest responsibility. Sometimes it's passing that responsibility off to the keyboard player, because I do recognize that it might be a little bit smoother for him to do it. Yeah. But being able to make the call as soon as it happens. And say, this is what we're doing. And that's really all that the role consists of. Got you.
So listen, I would like to offer that to someone who may be listening or may hear this afterwards, that you're not a lead singer, you're not a choir director, you're not a keyboardist or an organist. Doesn't mean that you're unfit to have a lead role. It's all about the work you put in.
Yep.
When you mentioned that you do vocal parts, what stuck out at me is that you said when singers at your church are unsure, they immediately look your way. And that's not common in our churches for singers to look to the person on bass, MD or not. Because what is the framework of the mindset is, what do they know about what we supposed to be singing?
Honestly, because you expect it to just be played.
Yeah, so that also lets me know that there is a specific culture present where you are. There's a culture present that they're not looking just at what instrument is in your hand for direction. And that's the key that I want to make sure that, is communicated and is, really something that should be widespread. It's that direction is not dependent on what instrument is in your hand. You want to hit that question, man?
They rolling already.
They rolling. Does your role in worship have a direction of progression? Right?
Take your time with it, man.
So I do want to ask her, when you say a direction of progression, are you talking about progression in terms of the service, like as the service kind of moves on? Or are you saying, what exactly are you asking? If you can give me a little bit more, because I want to answer correctly.
Let me interpret, and I'm sure she'll follow up. But
don't get it wrong, because your wife will say
that is my wife. So I believe progression regarding ministry in general, regarding the progression of the music ministry. Does your role in worship have, or does your role include, communicating how to progress or how you want to progress the music ministry as a whole?
So absolutely. One of the things I'm very, very grateful about with my pastor is he allows me to be myself without his hands on. So all of the progression that happens with musicians and they'll tell you, I have one-on-one calls with musicians that are like, hey, this is what you did amazing. This is what you did better than me this week.
Yeah.
This is what we can work on, right? And I have that correct. You got it right. Yeah. Wow, that's marriage, y'all. That's marriage.
He knew to get it right. He was under pressure too. He was like, Lord Jesus, help me to get this right.
You got a towel for this sweat, man?
Listen, man. You gotta get it right. But I am so grateful and fortunate to be able to individually have conversations and hold people accountable. Like, hey, this is how we grow. Yeah. This is how we get better. And this is what I want to see in the next few weeks, right? Yeah. And it's not to a point where we threatening people's jobs. Like, my culture isn't like that at my church at all. Yeah. But it's really just on, if we are really going to do this together, we're going to really be about furthering the ministry and growing together, then I want to challenge you in this way and actually see you rise to the challenge.
Got you.
Just stay on it.
So, all right, what does progression as an MD even look like? Is that just salary? Now, I'm sure you know Dave Bell.
I sure do.
Dave, what I love about Dave is he kind of drops some questions that are usually kind of just devil's advocate.
Yo, shout out to my brother, man. What's up, kid?
Rocking the house.
Rocking the house.
The sneaker guy. You already know where to find us at. Honestly, you know where to find the front door, man.
Rock has been getting increasingly more fleshly lately.
Right. Right.
Increasingly more fleshly lately. I don't know where it came from, but
can you put that question back up from Dave Bell?
Dave Bell. Okay. You want it up? Okay.
Yes, please.
I'm just checking. You know, we need to get Clarence to put Dave's questions up. Hey, Dave.
So I would if I can answer this question, but I do want to get your perspective on it. So I'm gonna start with the first portion, which is, what does progression as an MD even look like? All right. That has some layers to it, depending on the structure. All right. Because, in certain structures, the MD he has the whole music department, where in other structures, the MD is kind of a leadership role underneath a minister of music.
Yep.
But let's attack it from both ends. Brenton, I'll have you attack it from someone in the structure where the MD has the whole music department.
Yep.
I'll attack it from someone, an MD who was under as a leader under a minister of music. So, progression, particularly in our churches, progression as an MD, which now I'm talking more along the lines of, you're just really responsible for the music and the rhythm section and that texture. What progression to me starts is that we don't get comfortable just playing covers.
Yeah.
We don't get comfortable just executing the music from the MP3 or the YouTube clip. That's where it starts. We have to start with understanding everything about the MP3 and the YouTube clip, or as we like to call the music ministry or the music community, the wax.
Yep.
It starts there. But progression means we're not satisfied with that. We want to put some of our DNA inside of that wax.
Yeah.
So that it ain't just cover, because we're not a wedding band. We're not an 80s cover band. So that's I would say something that I can say what progression looks like as an MD is communicating to your guys, man. We should not be just happy and here to play covers. In a church setting where we got a full band and we trying to create a vibe, then it shouldn't just be about playing covers and getting through the week.
My God. Yep.
But that's one example. So B, can you talk from the example of what does progression look like as the MD who has the entire music ministry? What are your thoughts there?
So my wife is pretty much in charge of the singers and all those things. So a lot of my role is directly related to how we deal with musicians. I do help in the harmonies and the nature, but she picks the song. She does all those things. So shout out to my wife. She's probably not going to see this at all, but let her know that I gave her, I gave you what's due.
Right.
I mean, we're not going to say,
you got it covered.
Listen, I run the house, but when we at Bethel Northeast, like she is the head of the ministry.
Gotcha.
But I would say progression as a music director from another standpoint would be also on the back end of what you said, but is the ministry as a whole progressing, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm growing and the keyboard player and the drummer is growing, right? But we haven't built in our vocalists the confidence to start to expand, the confidence to start to challenge themselves and singing different songs, the confidence to be able to step out and exhort, right? You should see, if you are really being an effective MD, you should be seeing an entire growth from the ministry as a whole, right? It shouldn't just be the pit, because at the end of the day, music as a whole is a ministry, and we got to do this together, right? The songs that we select, are we gonna graduate from Chasing After You? I mean, it was a time where it was like, yo, Chasing After You is hitting. Like, I get it.
Your great name?
Yeah. Are we gonna graduate from Your Great Name? Once again, that's another one where it had its time. But like, what are we doing that's now stretching our minds to think of different ways?
Yeah.
What are we doing now that's bringing an element of surprise to the people that are in the audience, because they play just as much of a part. If you're doing this right, you're gonna have people excited to bring people to church, because them first 30 minutes of service, like, and mind you, most of us
crazy.
Most of us are fortunate enough to be super killer musicians in the city. I mean, Philly is packed with the most amazing, right? But if it's just us and it's not the rest of the show, are we really doing our job?
Yeah. Great question. Great question. Great perspective. Rock, one band, one sound. If one sounds bad, the whole band sounds bad. Same with singers. The sonics of church play a huge role. Absolutely 1000% facts.
Shout out to Rock, the Flesh.
Yeah. Listen. That is,
Oh, man. So we normally start off, and we'll come back to some of the comments because they're flooding in.
Let's do it.
But we normally start off going to a comment from a previous episode that we may have not gotten a chance to revisit or to hit during the time that it came through. All right. So this one was from last week. This comment was made by Eric Charles. He's a regular watcher, longtime friend of mine. And so here's what the comment says. It says, and this is a question. He says, if the minister of music is your leader and he's been in position 30 plus years, but he refuses change, should you keep pushing for change?
Sorry.
And I think we talked a little bit about, or at least a good amount about this last week, in terms of, we really talked about change and, how some leadership, church leadership is receptive, and then, some is not very receptive. I do want to, without veering too far left, I want to try to keep it in the confines of your question here. All right. But we gotta deal with the dirty details. All right. So the dirty details, the first thing is that okay, this is the minister of music.
Yep.
All right. So they have the say so regarding all things music. Sometimes, your minister of music also hovers over, your media functions such as audio and video. Sometimes they hover over your liturgical things such as dance ministry and things of that nature. So we're talking about someone who is at the top of the food chain musically, 30 plus years. So, they have the influence. And that means that their voice has the weight
Yep.
when it comes to decision making, ideas being received, and things of that nature. Those are the dirty details.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the dirty details. I got to ask a follow-up question, though, because my mind asked the question, okay, they're the minister of music. They've been in position 30 years. When we ask or when we say they're refusing change, it also leads me to believe that whatever your role is there, is some type of leadership capacity underneath of them.
Yep.
And it also leads me to believe that you have some time in there. Obviously not 30 years, but you have some time in there. All right. So them refusing to change, another detail I'm looking for is, okay, what kind of leads you to assess that? What leads you to say, okay, that they refuse to change? Now, I have many ideas
I have many
in terms of answering that question I just asked, in terms of what would lead someone to conclude that. But getting to the crux question. The crux question is, should you keep pushing for change? Well, the short version of that is, okay, how much more time are you willing to put in?
Right.
How much more time are you willing to go on the kiddie rides at the amusement park, even though you're tall enough to get on the other rides?
Wow.
Because that analogy would pretty much answer your question on whether you should keep pushing. It depends on your tolerance.
Yeah.
It just does. It depends on your tolerance. Because, okay, we can imagine, that, this person probably will not stay in the exact position that they're in for much longer. But there's also the possibility that them moving out of the position, they still keep the same influence over that ministry. So that's really the first way I would answer that is, what is your tolerance? What is your tolerance for going around the turnstile and not moving forward? What would be your tolerance? B, you got any thoughts on this comment?
Honestly, I have a lot of thoughts, right? So I think the first thing is, have you done everything that you possibly could, right? Because I think the real easy thing to say, and I don't think it's a wrong answer, but I think the real easy thing to say would be like, you know what? I'm out. I done had a conversation. You don't want to listen to me? Cool. Like, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. You know what I mean? Right? But let's be honest, right? I believe that, especially musicianship as it relates to churches, like musicianship as it relates to R&B. I know we play that and all that other stuff, but I'm a very, 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 very avid believer that if you are somebody in a music director capacity at a church, you should be going there, one, because you're sent by God, but you also have something to give to that space, right? So if you are in a place where you're not able to give to that space, were you sent by God to be there? That's the first, real honest question you really got to think about, right? Were you sent to be there? The second thing was, am I doing everything that I can to change this current situation? Because sometimes people stuck in their ways, right? And sometimes it might take a sit down between you, the minister of music, the pastor, and say, hey, this is my vision for the church. This is where I believe that we can go. This is what's current. This is what is in time.
Absolutely.
Are you willing to take this step with me? And let's try it out. Let's see if it works, right? And I'm not saying that we lose the hymns. We don't want God to lose the hymns. But we got a lot of churches that are doing hymns in a very, very upright and fun way to make them more relevant to what's current now.
Correct.
Right? That's going to be the second thing. Did we have the conversation? After we done had the conversation, if it's not happening, then my third thought about this is, just like you're there to give something, like you need to get something as well. And it doesn't, I'm not talking about from a money standpoint. Like in an ideal situation, you're getting paid what you want to get paid. You're at a place that is feeding you and you can't wait to be there because of the culture, because of the musicianship that you're around, right? If you get all those things, there are some people that do, right? Amazing. I'm super happy for you. But if you're in a space where you are frustrated, you're also limiting your ability to create and your ability to give to the space as well. So at that point, you got to go.
Pills.
Now, you know what? You two got it. Just a couple things I'm noticing. Like, I love what Brent's saying because, you know, I know his pastor. And getting to know him and hearing about him, heard all great things about you, bro. You know how musician community is. Some people you know so much about them, then you finally are in the same room with them. But you're blessing in what you're saying. Darian can attest to this, because in pastoring, I always believe, because I was a minister of music first, I understand the pit. I understand the corner. I know the lazy musicians. I know the musicians that are like way beyond what the church is doing. And, you know, God rest my dad's soul. It's like my dad appreciated music, but he wasn't in the way. But the other thing was he gave us the freedom. I'm going to answer somebody else's question. He gave us the freedom, but the rest of the culture of the church wasn't with what we could do. And so I was at a stuck place, and my only outlet was hip hop and R&B, right? That was the only place. And I'm not saying the church pushed me to that, but I made a career in it, and I just maintained at church. But it was like, I'm there just giving 40% of myself because they couldn't handle the 60% more that I could give. So when I'm sitting there like, yo, we can actually cut an album, it's like, nobody was into that. It wasn't that deep. So I'm gonna go cut an album with Music and Jill. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I can do this. I'm bringing John Roberts and Brian Moore. We can get this one, that one. But it's like, if the church is not really on that, then you can't move progressively beyond the culture of the ministry. So what Brent was throwing out there is also, what's the relationship that the music ministry has amongst themselves and with the congregation and with the pastor, where you can't separate it in order to progress. If not, you just got a dope band at a church that's not going anywhere. So back to Enon's point, it's kind of like on the treadmill. Your church is on the treadmill. You click, track, shouting every Sunday, but you not going nowhere. You in the same spot, working out. You look strong, but you have not expanded beyond the treadmill. That's crazy. So that's all I got for that.
Let me shout out some watchers. Charles Clef Lundy.
Yo, Lundy, what's up, brother?
Mom Dale Sharp Lee and Jordan Hammond.
Yo, Jordan Hammond. Shout out to him.
Shout out to Jordan.
My car is faster than Charles' car.
Jordan is
Shout out to Jordan.
Jordan is one of the young generals.
Jordan.
In my opinion, he's one of the young generals when it comes to musicianship in the city of Philadelphia.
He is a gift.
Robert Riz Taylor, obviously, Rakeem Harris, Dr. Austin Woodland.
Doctor, we honor you.
Chris Robinson, Rob Speaks, Tim Kitchens. We said Dave Bell, Andrew Williams, Steve Levy.
Yo,
another
big bro,
another awesome musician out of the tri-state area.
One of the best guests we have.
Yes,
love
sir.
you, bro.
Azure Green, BJ Johnson, Diana Times, Sean Bobian.
Yeah, what's up, Sean?
Miranda
Congratulations.
Knight.
He just graduated from UR.
Yes, he has his master's now.
Yes, sir. Shout out to you, Sean.
Education. We said Lodge Pearson, Jermaine Ringgold, Dave Gordon, Courtney Gray, Marquise Shaw, Cotman, Mrs. Bristol. Thank you all for tuning in.
Terry.
Lisa Smith, thanks for tuning in.
I'm gonna walk this down real quick, and I'm gonna give it back to Derek because I don't want to miss these comments. These are
some good comments, right?
Yeah.
These some good comments. So
Absolutely.
Jokes aside, me and King, we always joke. We have our little jokes, but I like what he's saying here, and I just want to take this in a serious matter. Because today y'all are hitting on the stuff that I've been trying to touch. King says this. My question would be: was the musician brought in, right, to be a player or for their musical influence? And since we have Brent in the room, and shout out to Bethel, I'm going to mention what Brent didn't know I talked to Pastor Baldwin about. We were talking about musicians, and one of those things was the knowing who you are as a leader and knowing where to delegate and assign.
Yeah.
Ain't it interesting that Jesus said, greater works than this shall ye do? And he gets his 12 and he sends them out to do something that he could did it in his own, divinity and power. He could have achieved what he sent us out to do, but he put it on us, which means that from the beginning, man should not be alone. There's a partnership that needs to happen. Sometimes leadership forgets partnerships.
Yeah.
And they think that partnering takes away from their leadership, and it doesn't.
No.
So when you're a smart leader, you know where to take something like what Keem is saying here. The question is, am I bringing in a player or somebody for their musical influence? If I have a vision and I don't play, or even if I play, but I don't play that style, in my vision, I have you there for the influence that you have on people. This is, the Bible says we persuade men daily. So there's an influence element in every part of our ministry. The persuading, thou has almost persuaded me. There's something about the music when I walk into a room that keeps me there. And then it got to hold me there to lead into and have some kind of congruency with the sermon that comes after all that music. If not, I just got a dope band and it's like, okay, the words coming on, I'm out. No, it has to tie in. And when the pastor is in tune with the music department that they put together, it's musical influence and not just, I need people to play. Okay, so there's value there. Jordan puts this up here. Are you the hired help or are you planted there? Okay, there's a difference. If you're just hired, I think that the model that we need to start following is the plantedness, right? So that when we get musicians in, there has to be a pot and soil. And when you think about it with a ministry, one plants, another waters, God adds the increase. We have people hired and there's no planting, no watering, so there's no increase. So there's no progression. Then Mondale adds in here, if we are sent by God, then we will be moved by God and guided by God. Are we willing to follow the right God? So there has to be a sense of what's your relationship with Christ so that this train ain't wrecking and we not derailing it. Charles Lundy, I'm almost done. He puts up here, you also will have an issue where you have the vision, but the church board, okay, his problem, the church board can get pushback, which makes it hard. This happens when there's a board and there's a pastor. You have a pastor and a board, which means that there's confusion and conflict there. And so as a musician, you ain't really going to grow because you can be as tight as you want with the pastor, but if the board is always beating that stuff, then you got a problem with the board. You need to erase the chalkboard, okay? So then I'm pretty much done. Y'all keep dropping it on here. Darren, you can take it back. I just wanted to add that in there on how we're getting to the importance of, to the musician, don't just try to get the bag. Trust God that our needs are provided, but be patient to be planted and not just hired help. Okay. And then on the leadership side, understand, even if you are a musician, I am a successful musician. However, if I'm leading, I am going to delegate and give that off and get out of the way, explain the vision and move, because you can't pastor and try to be the MD at the same time. Not going to work.
So let me introduce this, and we're staying with this comment because the other thing that comes up for me when we look at the position and that they've been in the position for 30 plus years. A level of success can be tricky.
Yeah.
A level of success at something can be tricky. Why do I say that? Because a lot of times in church, the way we view success in ministry is usually only how something is done. What am I saying? So the mistake sometimes with the larger ministry is that they look at the success of them being larger than most as how something is done and how it's done only. And so what makes that tricky is now you feel like sustaining that success is only done through the same methods.
So you become the new tradition?
Yep. In essence. So that's the other thing that comes out to me here in terms of someone being in a position for 30 years plus and refusing change. It sounds like to me the mindset could be that, hey, young blood, I didn't build this thing to where it is. I didn't put in this time. So if anybody knows what needs to be done, it's me. And I don't think we need to change nothing. We ain't do none of that stuff to get to where we are now. Okay, yeah, you make some good points there. Okay, but all right, where you are now, where's that going to take you? Where's that going to take? Where you are now, where is it going to take you? Okay, what is the youth ministry starting to look like versus what it looked like 10 to 15 years ago?
Yep.
Yeah, because at one point it was popping.
For sure.
At one point. And now, not so much. So the lens is only what success we have gotten to and not what success we can continue to get to. Yeah. Another thought of why change is refused, because again, we are looking at the success of something in terms of only how it was done. Because again, if you lock your mind on the how it was done, then you cannot evolve with the times, because how it was done in Mother's era won't necessarily work for the next era. And you won't see that immediately, but you will start to see a decline.
Yep.
But again, the lens is, well, we got here. So whatever we did to get here, that should carry us all the way through and continue to at least maintain us. So we really got to be careful at how we look at the success of ministry through a very thin lens.
Lundy, that's good, bro.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm gonna add to what Lundy's saying. Shout out to Lundy with the slow vehicle. It's my guy. I'm playing with it. But Lundy, you know what's dope about what you said? Let's expand this where you said some senior MDs are afraid to change because they may feel being pushed out. This goes to, don't take it offensively, but the transposed people, right?
Wow, let's take a moment to call that spirit out.
That might be 21 and in an MD position, but don't want to change. Right? I'm gonna tell y'all right now, do not ask me, OG here, come sit on the keys. Don't do it. Cause when y'all start calling out 157 real quick, my old behind's gonna miss it. So call me up for the old songs. I got them. Right? Call me up for something that I know. I'll tell you I know the song. I'll fill in and follow y'all. But I'm just Charles Lundy. No, listen. I've been at services where I'm on the organ and I look and Charles was working a funeral. I was like, you got the soloist? Because I'm like, I'm not going to play it. I've done it with Darian because I know my limits. But there's some younger musicians that do not like change because they do not want to and cannot progress. I just wanted to add that in there. It's not just singers.
That's correct.
It's some young boys, okay, that'll
correct.
be like, no, we ain't got to do that. It's like, yeah, because you don't know nothing about in-ear monitors. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Okay, things have changed, and the people that you're trying to play with, they're on another level that they're not saying you can't participate, but you should be willing to grow to get there. So there's some houses that got 5 people in the band that's under 30 years old, but they ain't progressing. Because of what somebody just put in there, the individual, and Charles said the personal issue. So if you are not personally growing as a person, you are not helping the ministry. Who you are in church matters just as much as who you are outside of church.
Yep.
I need to say something about that.
Go ahead.
That was so good. That was.
Go
And
on.
here's the thing, right? It's not just like what you said. We can be growing as a pit, right? But everybody has to bring something to the table on a consistent basis. So for me, the most important thing that I'm with the musicians that I'm blessed to be over is like, yo, if you struggle in this area, you got to work on it, because just because we kill together does not mean my goal is not just for you to be amazing here, but for you to be amazing anywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
And my thing is, if you killing in this house, because my homies Jordan, he on here, Jordan will laugh. Lundy will laugh at this right now. They be like, "Yo, B, you play at that CCM church, right?" Because they know we play a lot of the of the CCM songs, a lot of the elevation worship, a lot of that. I got a young, really, really young church that we have.
Yeah.
Big bulk of our membership is like 25 to 40, like the huger bulk of it. So it's a lot of more young, newer to Christ Christians,
Millennials.
right? A lot of millennials.
Yeah.
I mean, tons of them, and a lot of people that are the generation right underneath us. But
I think there's Gen Z.
yeah, Gen Z, I think.
Mhm.
But even outside of that, like just because you might be killing at our church and now it's time for you to go to another place and it's like you don't know what to do because it requires a different thing. We are all going to have to constantly grow in the areas where we're weak at.
Yeah.
Right back on what you said. If there is anybody that's in your pit that's not willing to grow, they are somebody that we either need to have a conversation with or somebody that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
We can't have it. We can't have it.
Mom, Lady Dale Sharpley, she asked a question 2 comments up. Why does it appear?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Hold on.
Why does it appear
Got it.
that we have such a high tolerance of tenure without change/growth? Let me offer this. Again, particularly in the construct of the original comment that we're dialoguing about, where we have someone in a high leadership role. They've been in that role 30 plus years. Something that I have encountered in my experience is what I call a backwards culture. A backwards Christian culture.
Yeah.
What do I mean? What I mean is what I've encountered a lot is where the expectation is that laity serves leadership. And that's backwards. Let me explain. And I'm going to ask a rhetorical question. And I'll probably offend some people.
That's all right.
Just as it is. So the rhetorical question is, which one of the disciples washed Jesus' feet? It's a trick question. Jesus washed their feet. And the example I'm illustrating is servitude goes from the top down.
Yeah.
Not from the bottom up. But many of our churches, the expectation is service goes from the bottom up.
Yeah.
So the high tolerance is because when we have been in a position of leadership, whatever that is, and we have the tenure there, you're expected as someone who is not in leadership and doesn't have the tenure to serve them. That's, been the expectation again that I've encountered a lot, particularly when we see present the resistance against change and new.
Yep.
Particularly when we see that resistance against change and new. So again, for me, going back to the original question, should you keep pushing for change? If you have the tolerance and the long suffering to do so, I would say do the work of the Lord.
Yep.
But if honestly you don't, then you might have to go back to the prayer drawing board. Absolutely. In regards to whether or not that place is for you.
Yo, Rock came with a message today, y'all.
Yes, he did.
Rock came with a message.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Again, keep the comments coming in. It's such great content coming through. Some watchers that came in, Bobby Jackson, Pastor Carlton Aiken, Jamal Jefferson Jr. Thank you all for tuning in. Samuel McFarland. All right. So here's where I would like to go. I would like to do a little bit of role playing. Before we do that, let me get that last comment from Dave Bell. Do you see that?
Any of you guys? That one?
Yep.
Any of you guys ever experienced feeling like you're planted somewhere that doesn't want to change or grow? Right?
Ooh.
I do have some.
Let's pivot.
Go for it. Go ahead.
Let's pivot.
Go
All
ahead.
yours, B.
You got it first.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? Are you planted or is your heart planted?
Take it further, Bishop.
Right? So are you planted or is your heart planted? Because I've been in situations where I really, really love those people. Mm-hmm. And there are people that I've done life with, and there are people that have saw me through seasons, but that's exactly what it is, right? It's a season. Mm-hmm. And honestly, you are not going to have the desire to feel like there's more and God is not going to make you suffer in a place where you supposed to be bringing life to. That doesn't make sense. That's not who he is. He's not going to make you suffer in a place that you are supposed to help water and grow. Mm-hmm. So if you feel like you are in a place that is completely stagnant, that's not growing at all, right? Your heart's planted there. I really think you might need to pray about, are you really supposed to be planted there?
Yeah, because to piggyback, I think what I took from your answer, B, is sometimes, we put the cart before the horse.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, man.
So sometimes, we jump in heart first without, kind of considering, some of the more practical things, but also even the spiritual connection regarding what you are gifted and designed to do. Because your heart is attracted to people.
Yep.
Your heart is attracted to people and a need. And so that's where you got to be careful of jumping in heart first. Mm-hmm. Because you're usually not seeing the whole scope of everything. Absolutely. Now, here would be my response. All right. Have I ever felt like I was planted somewhere that does not want to change or grow? Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
You can ask Chico Robinson, right? I have been a worship pastor since I was...
Wow.
Since I was like
Shout
20.
Out to Chico.
Shout out to Chico. Jordan just said it. I've been a musician pastor for almost a decade. Listen, I'm really called to this generation. I really am. No, go ahead, Derry. I'm just playing.
But so have I been personally in a situation like that? The answer is yes. I am careful, though, that not all situations that seem like they don't want to change or grow, that's the case. Sometimes it's it's really just a lack of information. So there's some ministries that they seem like they don't want to change or grow, but it's really more for lack of information and not really that they handcuff themselves to a tradition.
Wow. Wow.
And so sometimes you are planted there as a watering agent of change and new information. But the question is, how do you go about it? Because I've seen too often that if we as a musical person, if we come in and we are guns blazing with change and with new, well, the approach is not really received very well.
Wow.
And then, but we kind of label that as they don't want to.
Yeah.
Let me say it this way.
I like it.
Yep.
Let me say it this way. Communication is not just saying something one time. I think we as a society, we have fallen victim to that, where we say something once, and if it's either not understood or we feel like it's not received right away, then we kind of automatically conclude that the other party's not listening. Well, okay, have you tried maybe a different way of communicating?
Yeah.
Or have you even tried to go back to the well and communicate it again? Communication is not just saying something one time, because you can't, if you expect every time you say something, particularly when it comes to a concept that they might not be very familiar with, if you expect that you say it one time, they're supposed to get it. That's very poor expectations. Another example, and I want to throw it back to you, Pels. Another example, okay? One of the things I do with my business is I train generally church personnel as it relates to operating audio and video equipment and software.
Yep.
That's what I do. Now, most of these people that I am training do not have an audio or video background. So if I say to someone working the audio board one time, yeah, bro, you gonna want to turn the gain up because there's not enough signal on that mic. I'm saying in plain language, but it's not a language that they are readily familiar with. So now I'm gonna have to go back and say, okay, here's what I mean by gain and signal. Those from the audio world know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
If you're not in the audio world, it sounds like a different language. Yeah, I've said it, but they weren't in position to receive it.
Absolutely.
And that's my point. My point about sometimes you are planted in a place where they were not in position to receive it, but you are the agent that helps them learn to position themselves to receive the new information.
That's good. That's good.
You throwing it back to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got any thoughts there?
It's like, bro, he throwing that, and he like,
You
yeah,
throwing-
you go ahead.
it's so much going on. So I'm gonna be consistent and stick with, a theme of mine that I think we need to face moving forward. Let's take the phrase iron sharpens iron, right? There are a plethora of musicians that are out there that we know we can get sharpened by, right? They're comfortable in their space. They're comfortable in their success, which they're guided by the significance, where success is a byproduct of understanding their significance, meaning I know my journey, or God has shown me a direction of destiny. So this is a through, right? Some of us that play at more than one church, you can actually do that if you're secure in knowing what you're getting from and what you're pouring into, the who you are, wherever you're at, you're pouring into. I say this for an example. When I was pastoring, I would have, when my father passed away and I couldn't no longer do the music and preaching, I had those friends that I could call, so I could have a Paris, a Troy, a Darian would come by, different ones. I'm name drop. Smurf was coming over, taking the shoe off, playing with the sock. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got Smurf on you got Lenny, you got Scoop, I got all these different people. But my church itself wasn't ready for following me. And I say this boldly, and this is not a problem. This is a sidebar to pastors. That's why it's sometimes hard when you take over a ministry where the fabric of it is not what God gave you to find.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So
good.
Everything's going to be screwed up for it, because I'm a musical guy. I got the success of doing great music. I produce stuff. So why is it not happening with my congregation? Because that's not what I put together.
Yeah.
Right? So then the tenureship, Mom Dale, here's the thing. We were talking about tenureship. You got people with tenureship in the fabric of something that's not destined to look like what Bethel looks like. That happens when leadership sees it that way. When you address, we got a bunch of millennials in here. So we're not arguing over hymns, because the essence of hymns is the words, not the music.
Yeah.
Let's get it straight now, right? In the key of C, you got certain chords, right? And all keys, but the way you apply them, but the words are still the same. How dare we keep arguing about hymns when we're not arguing about the Bible? You don't have to update the Bible. So most hymns, you don't actually have to update them. Just take the words from it and make it applicable in the space that you're in now. So if you got a bunch of people that like old school, then you doing an old school type of sound, but you doing it with not a baby grand piano that's upright or something like that, an upright piano. You're doing it with a daggone Nord. So that's automatically different. So you put a piano sound on there.
Yeah.
The organ is not the same organ from yesterday. The bass don't look the same as the old one playing out of the amp. Everybody's doing things different, but the words are still the same.
Yeah.
And so the idea of how we progress, and I'm just going to stand on this, is that whole planet theme that Brent threw out here and Darren's throwing, that matters.
Yes,
because if not, if we don't really face what is going on with the house, then once we understand the house, you understand this is not for me, but this is great for my uncle.
Yeah.
Let me try it again.
Yep.
This ain't good for me, but this is great for my uncle because he's reached a plateau. He's not going to play in any other key than A flat and C sharp. This is perfect for him because the fabric of his house is not looking to progress any further.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? But then you got people that want the bag of the progressive ministry, but don't have the etiquette, nor do they have the workness in them to move with what they see.
Wow.
Okay, so that's one of those things that I really want to push that on. We're trying to do the one size fit all thing, and it's not happening. You cannot keep trying to fit a dope band in any church. Because to me, I'm saying this big time. Some churches only need a Hammond and a drummer. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. But they don't want to say that.
No.
Some churches, you don't need screens on the wall.
No.
No, that's fact.
Come on, y'all coming in real. Some churches is too small for in-ear monitors. Sorry. Be honest in what it is that's going on with the house. And then you realize if we need to merge, if we need to put the pressure back on where's it coming from the top.
That's a curse
and
word.
Until we do that, we're going to continue to have the problems. And the person who needs the money every Sunday is just going to end up going wherever there's a check at. And you are not going to be helping the ministry. You're only going to be hurting them and pacifying the moment. And back to what my sister Ina said, we just going to be having treadmill ministry.
Yep.
So let me go through a few comments real quickly. A little while back, Rakeem said, when getting into situations is easy to see the fault, but try seeing what God wanted you to learn while being planted there. Sometimes the change is to refine you before you can refine others effectively.
Yes, sir.
Amen. All right. Dave Bell, comment under that. Rejection of the information to change equates to stagnation. Can y'all speak to the musician that reached his or her cap at a place and doesn't know where to pivot? I'm gonna come back to that. Okay. Mom Dale Sharpley. Sometimes people mean well, yet they are challenged with knowing how to do well, which impacts change and growth. Absolutely. Coming a few comments down, Rob speaks. Is there a way to connect some of the good pastors who want change and have good hearts and have a need to or of the musicians who are looking for them and looking to be planted under a good leader? Quick answer: consultation. Stop trying to do it yourself. That's a quick way. That's a quick way. Consultation.
Yeah.
Because you need a middle person to connect those two. You can't try to make that connection your own, because a lot of times both sides of the table they have more of their side in their perspective than having an even side. Someone like a Pelzer who has been on both sides would be a great consult. Someone like Troy Chambers who's been on both sides, that would be a great consult. That's my quick answer to that. Comment by Jordan Hammond. Here's the thing as well: the leadership needs to know the fabric of what's needed even before hiring. That could help a lot of these situations as well. Didn't we spend about a month on that?
Yes.
We spent about a month
Jordan,
on that.
love it, bro.
All right. And then Pastor Aiken says, this goes both for pastors and musicians with a shared purpose. Keyword, shared purpose. Can we be clear in that we are not to just sharing the gift because the gift is good, but sharing the gift to enhance the focus on the gift giver? Let the ego of the gift leave room and remember the goal. Amen. Absolutely. So I want to go back to Dave's question in terms of, can y'all speak to the musician that's reached his or her cap at a place but doesn't know where to pivot? You got any thoughts, B?
Yep. So I'm gonna shout out my wife. I'm gonna shout out my wife again, because everybody and this is just a quick pivot for my musicians that want to be married, right? Married for the right reason, right? Married for the right reason, because is my wife beautiful? Yes. Can she sing? Yes, right? But what I needed was somebody that could spiritually hold me accountable. So I'm in a position right now where I was at a certain place and I was ready to make a decision of transitioning from one job to the next job, right? In a position. And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna apply here, and my wife, in hearing me, she just said something very, very profound and very, very simple. And I want y'all to hear what it is, right? Because it's not deep. Everybody think everything is deep. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to transition. I'm gonna send out this application. She said, all right, did you pray? Everything doesn't have to be this crazy deep thing, right? There is a point in your life where you made a decision, Dave, where you felt the peace of God in that decision, right? If you pray for the peace of God in a decision that you're making, he's going to give it to you. But the question is, did you pray? And if you didn't pray yet, question 2 would be, are you afraid of the answer? Because sometimes you don't pray because you know what God is really saying, right? And if God is really saying for you to move and you don't, does that mean you're disobedient? Right? So,
man,
I would really say, like, yo, let's be honest, bro. Did you honestly, before you had the feeling, did you pray, right?
Yeah.
When you pray and you get the answer, did you listen to it?
We talked a little bit about this topic that I'm about to bring up in answering that question back in, I want to say, around the March, April side of things. And I said, we have, for the majority of us, we have this notion that transition is supposed to be comfortable. We have this notion that if we do everything the right way in terms of transitioning from one ministry to another, or transitioning out of ministry for whatever reason, we have this notion that there is a way to do it And all parties involved are going to feel 100% comfortable.
Yep.
And I submit, as I submitted months ago, that's just not the case.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yes.
That's just not the case. It's not supposed to feel 100% comfortable in any transition. It's very possible that you will have second thoughts of making the decision and second thoughts after making the decision.
Yep. Yeah.
That is natural.
That's good, bro. That's really good.
That is natural, but it's unavoidable. And a lot of times we are trying to avoid it. So when we're answering this question to the point that you made, really knowing the answer, but not wanting to embrace the answer because of, the after effects. I'm sorry, there's no way, there's no way to avoid that. There's no way. Transitioning from a ministry that, you loved serving, listen, again, you're going to miss the people. You're going to miss elements about that no matter how good the situation you're going into. You might be transitioning. There's stuff that you're going to feel a little homesick at first.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
natural. So
Absolutely.
So I would add on to the true did you pray, and did you really spend some time listening after you prayed.
Yeah, listen after you pray. That's the important part. Yep. Yep. That's the important part. That's good, bro.
But please know that more often than not, that is transition is not going to be 100% comfortable. Pels, you got thoughts?
Yeah, you know what's something, and I'm gonna pick up on what Brent said with the prayer, right? So there's prayer, then there's peace that transcendeth understanding, right? So what Darian just said, like,
I like where you're going with this.
Yeah, I've been in places
I like where you're
where
going with this.
the perfecting of who you are. I think about, in my day, we had the storefront churches, right? Where the musicians I grew up with, we gave it our all everywhere. So if the three of us were the same age and each one of our dads were pastors, and y'all church service was on Saturdays, mine was on Sunday early, his was late. It didn't matter who had the biggest church, the most members. We played the same in each house.
Yep.
Right? Like, we went in, we didn't push it further, or we knew they shout more over here, or they go in more in the worship over there. But we gave it, we were the same person, and then we left out of there and was in the streets, the same person. We gave the same at the 5 spot.
Yeah.
There's this thing about who we are across the board and what it is that we give, right? And when we think about peace, sometimes you got to be that same person while God's unpacking the picture from the prayer, right?
Wow.
Yes,
So
sir.
you pray, and in that peace, we don't allow the picture to develop, right? We make the image that we want, where it's like when we pray, the answer sometimes is, I need you to be in Zarephath for a little minute. I need you to be here, or you need to be by the brook for a little while.
Yeah.
The mission is the rest of the story is over here. But in the meantime, while the drummer's sick at a certain ministry, you can serve in that spot with the relationship that you have. I'm sure if the drummer wasn't ready on Sunday, Brent could be like, yo, King, what you doing? After you leave Enon, I need you to come over here, and everything will flow. And if I just come visit Bethel, I'm not going to feel any different than I would on any other Sunday because of the culture of that congregation, because of how each individual is. And watch this here. I'm going to say this. Wherever you're planted at, if you needed to sub anybody, would the congregation feel the same with the sub in? do you have a relationship where if you can't play and somebody else plays for you, that it will feel the same for everybody? Not a highlighted something or a low, because you have that relationship. And so the culture of the replacements, right? The bench got to be as good as the starters.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So our friends are like the bench to where we're the starters at.
Yeah.
And so that really comes with understanding and being comfortable with who you are, where you're going. And I say this to you, Dave, and I'm gonna give it back to Darian and Brent. I say this to you about the place of pivot.
Yeah.
Right? The reason why people don't know how to pivot is because they don't know how to exercise their patience.
Yep.
And patience, and I'm gonna jump to a little, tap on the back for me, pat on the back. You know how long we sat before the guys from A Touch of Jazz became successful with the neo soul movement? We was broke and sitting in the basement of A Touch of Jazz, grinding. Like every record that we started to beat the track, the writing to, was a daggone hit. We did that for years. Nothing. We got success and thought we was in a role, and then got a wake-up call, and it's like nothing. But there was a consistency through it all. And it appalls me that church musicians, when, the money get low, things get tight, everything needs to pivot because the offer ain't right and they can't pay us the same. If you're really in it to be in it, you will already have unpacked, as my brother Carlton Aiken is saying, your gift that is bringing life to the ministry. So I'm gonna tell y'all, when I walked in Bethel, not knowing the band or whatever, I only heard from the door. And the culture of that place, everything is congruent.
Yeah.
It flows. It's not a highlight, the band over Tim over the band or whatever. It all flows together because the culture and the fabric of the ministry is people are comfortable with who they are in Christ.
Yes,
so
sir.
it is the individual that has to recognize who they are in Christ. What's the treasure in the vessel is the point.
Yeah.
So we have this treasure in earthen vessels. We never can forget that we have a treasure in our vessel.
Yes, sir.
And so that's what makes us important. And when we bring that perfectedness that God is doing in us to the gathering, it builds for better ministry. I just felt that in my spirit to say, y'all.
Yes, sir. So let's take the last 15 minutes or so. I want to get back to our topic, the financial awareness for musicians. And the last few weeks that we were able to get to the topic, we talked a lot about the skill set side of things, in terms of, not only enhancing your craft and expanding your craft, but then we also talked last week, we talked briefly about other avenues that can make up making a living as a musically. We talked about those other avenues so that we don't have tunnel vision in terms of trying to make a living off of Sunday's envelope. All right. So now, this week, here's what I would like to start with. Okay. And my question is, that I want to dialogue about, is, as a musician, as a musical person, praise and worship leader, choir director, what makes you uniquely you in addition to your skill?
Turn my mic off.
What makes you uniquely you?
He put that in caps.
That's powerful, Jordan.
He put that in caps.
That's powerful.
He meant that.
He definitely meant that.
His thumb was hard on the phone on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But what makes you uniquely you in addition to your skill? We'll come back to that, as that's something that we touched on probably about a month ago. I do like your wording, because a lot of times that wording there is musicians can't be afraid to work a real job. That's where I take issue.
Right.
Right.
He just say, look, and it was caps. It was caps. Come on, Lundy. My guy.
A regular job was
My
powerful.
guy.
I don't take much. I don't take as, let's say it this way, I don't take as much issue with regular job that I do with real job. But we're gonna come back to that.
Yeah.
Because it's not that I'm disagreeing with that. All right. So, what makes you uniquely you in addition to your skill? Rock just wrote integrity, personality, spirituality, and value.
Yep.
Because as we have this conversation, first from the framework of church and ministry, your skill is something that can be found relatively easy. Your skill is something that can be found relatively easy, or your skill is something that a viable substitute can be found relatively easy. I know some people will take, issue with me, saying that their skill can be found easily, based on how they see their skill. But also your skill, even if you have an elite skill set, your skill set or your skill can be replaced by a viable substitute very easily. So what else does your skill set come with?
Wow.
Because sometimes elite skill sets come with arrogance.
That's a big one. That's
Sometimes elite skill sets comes with an ego that is very difficult to work with. So, in one perspective, an elite skill set might be overrated for some people.
Yep.
Depending on what comes with that skill set. B, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I got a lot of thoughts. I like what a lot of people saying in this.
Goodness great. Which
Rock,
one you want?
Jeez.
Yeah, which one you want? Rock, listen.
Rock,
Did Rock write this or was that AI?
Rock. Integrity equals accountability. Personality equals a joy to work with and be around. Spirituality has a relationship with God. Value can do more than just play the instrument. I really like everything that Rock said.
Yeah.
Because
Piggybacking
back on what Darian said, I'll be the first person to tell you, we are in a city that we might not have a whole lot of killing musicians, but it's more than enough of us. It's more than enough of us, right? Shout out to some of my very, 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 very good friends that play, whether it's keys, drums, but I'm gonna talk specifically about bass players. You got Micah that's coming up that is killing everything, destroying everything. Micah is a genius.
Micah barely old enough to buy himself a drink.
Literally. I probably still have to buy him for him, right? He probably still getting carded,
I think he
right?
just turned 21.
Right, he might have just turned 21. And Micah, without a doubt.
I love that comment from Dwayne Dunham.
Yeah, what's going on, Dwayne?
Love that comment from Dwayne.
Yeah. Sometimes we're going to get to that too. Yeah. We're going to get to that too.
If that ain't the God's honest truth.
Yeah, sometimes.
Usually it's an organist.
Right?
But talk about a killer musician that many people don't know about, Dwayne Dunham.
Yeah.
My Lord have mercy. Continue, B.
No, I gotta learn about Dwayne. I don't know if I'm.
Yes, sir.
Oh, dude, he's.
I might be familiar.
I met Dwayne years ago back at BM Oakley.
Yeah.
I think that's where his upbringing started musically. I think. But go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
Shout out to Micah. We got Ray Bernard. We got Eric Wadley. That's never home because he's on tour playing for John Legend, playing for Friday right now.
That was E on the intro song. That was E.
Listen. We have incredible musicians, right? The difference is the integrity, the accountability. Darian and I were talking about before this, but like something as simple as coming to a rehearsal with the song already learned. That's a big one, because I know talented musicians. I know some of my very good friends that, depending on what the situation is, would be like,
Yeah.
I learn it when I get there. You know what I mean? And having the mentality that's like, regardless of what I'm doing or who I'm playing for, if I was asked to do this, I'm gonna give it 100%. It's something that separates people 99% of the time.
Absolutely.
The effort and the standard that you put into everything that you do, right? That's the integrity.
Yeah.
That's the accountability, right? The spirituality piece that he's talking about. I don't want someone who's playing at my church who can't feel God moving. I don't want it. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter to me how talented. You should be able to notice, right? Because even in playing, there is a time and place to chop, right? Let's talk about drums, right?
Yeah.
We got a real moment and you do something that's crazy off time. You might throw that entire moment off.
Yeah.
Now you got people that's paying so much attention to you. Or I even go a step further. You ever had somebody that was so killing that they took away from the worship experience?
Yeah.
Now the whole musician pit is over by them. And it's not because they were doing anything wrong but being themselves.
Yeah.
But now they took away from that experience, right? If you are going to be somebody beyond just like someone that can play, you got to be knowledgeable of what the Spirit is doing too. If we're talking about church, you got to be knowledgeable about that too.
Yeah.
And everything that Rock said, I really can't say anything better than the spirituality, accountability, personality, the value of what you do outside of it. That was perfect. Honestly, we could have just read that and said that to everybody that was here.
Yeah.
Because it's
So, interestingly enough, that last thing that Rock mentioned in that particular comment when he talked about what value is, I wrote this down. The additions to your skill that you bring are what truly determine your marketable value. And there is a reason I said marketable value. All right? Because we as musicians, we have each individually, taken some type of self-inventory and used some school of thought to determine what we charge for what. So we have taken some measures of thought to determine what our value is, what we feel our value is. But when I add that marketable, it makes a big difference. Because you can tell me what you feel like your value is. If there's no one referring you or vouching for you, I'm not willing to pay that value.
wow, that's good. Yeah,
I like
I'm repeat that one more
I
time.
like that.
I like it.
You've taken time to identify what you believe your value is. At the same time, if there is little to no people who will recommend, refer, or vouch for you, then most won't be willing to pay what you feel your value is.
Hey, Darren, I like so Jordan, I agree with you 100% because and I'm gonna put his comment back up. Now I like it. I don't know why it's twisted when it comes to that one. Okay, let me recenter it. No, that's not okay.
Gotta be worth what you're asking.
Right. He says gotta be worth what you asking. And here's the thing, you can be the most skilled person, dopest person, but you bring your value down when you don't have what Rock said. These different, if you walk, man, this is the outline. This is the sermon outline for the day.
I mean,
This the sermon outline for the day.
Yeah.
This is your checklist on understanding your value, because they all matter. Whether the church that's seeking you abides by this or not, that is still in the play. It is the Kaiser Sose of the room.
no, honestly,
Right? It is the Mr. Kobayashi, right?
Yeah.
It exists whether you see it or not. Whether you look to the wall and see this written and you spaced out like Kevin, it's right there on the wall. Integrity, That's accountability, right? Personality. Because the skill set is the reason why some people look people's way anyway. Because we can fake the skill. You just get a moment and you get somebody that plays for a hooping preacher and everybody's dancing and you just see somebody going, you be like, oh, that boy good. But then you get them, you pay what they tell you their value is and realize that it ain't what they said it is. Okay, so this is why, all right, Darian, here's my sports analogy for the day. Ain't it crazy that even with free agents, if a team, right, is trying to get, like the joke is, oh, bring LeBron James to the 76ers. The arguments amongst the fan base alone is how does that person fit in the culture and how does that person work with the other people on the team?
Yeah.
This ain't even the box. This not even the staff. This not even the coaches have an argument. The fans will have an argument. Ain't it amazing? I'm going to challenge church members.
Yeah.
Church members, just take whatever's there. We all know each other in these streets. So you know that fabric ain't working right. You know that the integrity is not there. You know that the personality, are they a joy to work with? There's never been a time when we did a video recording, you got Micah, Keem, Aaron, you got
Antoine Jackson,
and you got
Hackley
directing, right? Hackley was supposed to be playing.
That's powerful.
But something changed, and you got Hackley and Aaron, and Hackley's like, no, you play, I'll do this. He just showed me a bigger value than just being an organist because he had humility to say, it's only one ham in here. So I'm going to step back, you got this, and I'm not even going to play not one song. The beast of an organist is standing there directed.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And handle the whole thing, and the musicians having a great time going in. But here's the bigger catch. Them guys were having fun in the room. Dave was there. Frazier was there. They were having fun, which means that if I'm a pastor, I'm looking at how do you get along with other people? Or are you bringing discord? So your skill sucks to me if you can't get along with everybody. Then then we're laughing, but then there's accountability. Yo, you got that part. On this we go here, and everybody's all on the same page. That matters. And when you got that kind of unit, man, nobody's gonna argue your value. And here's the other thing. Everybody vouches for one another because we see that y'all have a relationship and you ain't trying to gas up a weak link.
Yeah.
Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? You're not trying to gas up and hook your man up and pimp the preacher for it.
Absolutely.
So you're not just vouching for somebody just to help them pay their bills. You're like, no, this guy's worth it.
That's good.
And I rock with him. I have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
So that takes the burden off of the pastor, the financial team, or whatever, where everybody does stay in their lane. The way you keep people in their lane is have your stuff together. So they don't have to feel like they got to cross into your lane for something. My rant, yo, I'm sorry.
So
That's good.
B, I'm coming back to you in regards to, the value piece. Let me shout out some watchers that just came in. Jennifer Benton, Keon Grant, did I miss somebody else? We mentioned Dwayne Dunham. Thank you guys for tuning in. Linda Jackson, thanks for tuning in. All right, so let me make Cynthia Moten, thanks for tuning in, and Tawan Nash, thanks for tuning in. All right, I want to make two quick statements, and then B, you're gonna have the last word for the day. Rock's comment when he outlined the sermon points. And one of those points, point 2, was personality. A joy to work with and be around. I do want to throw this in here. I want to do my wrinkle that I generally do. And I might be in the minority in this opinion, but being a joy to work with and being easy to work with are not necessarily the same. I recognize that I can be difficult to work with at times because of what I demand.
I've heard things.
Just calling a spade a spade.
I've heard things.
Just calling a spade a spade. But yeah, I would submit to you not to necessarily make those two one and the same.
Yep.
because and Rock, he supported me. So because because being easy to work with is not not being easy to work with. It's not necessarily being an a-hole, but it's just not settling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's me. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna settle.
Mm-hmm.
If that transition was weak and it sounded like you didn't really know it, no, we can't do that. It's gotta sound like you know that transition.
Yep.
It's gotta sound like you know it. If it don't work for me. And that's not that. Some people can label that as not being easy to work with. But I don't think there's many. Got you. Yep. Yeah. Was that
Call him
Rock?
out.
Wait a minute. Was that Rock that said that, or was that Enon Brister?
That's Rock that said that.
Because my wife would have said the same thing. She said the same thing. All right. But yeah, so that's the first thing I wanted to throw in as a wrinkle. All right. The second thing, and then I'm throwing it to you, Brenton. The second thing I want to say is that elite skill set will never compensate for a lack of anything that Rakeem mentioned. An elite skill set will never compensate for lack of integrity and poor personality and things such as no care for punctuation, for coming to rehearsal not knowing the music.
Never.
Elite skill set will never compensate for those. All yours, B.
Yeah. Man, that's good. That's good. And I think this is just my own experience. Most of the people that have been in situations where we've been able to work together, they know, like, I'm a fool. Like, I mean, I like to have a good time. I like to joke. I like to, have the joy. Me and Darian got a joke. It's Mighty God Forever.
Yes, sir.
Because he's always been mighty. But
Yes, sir.
there's absolutely a level of joy and like passion that I like to bring to it. But one of the things that I hope all of the people that are close to me would also be able to say is, not only was I killing, but like I was on time.
Yes, sir.
And I look clean.
Yeah.
And I smell good. It's like there are little things that people don't talk about, but like they're important.
Yes, sir.
And like I came in and I was pleasant and I smiled.
Yes,
and
sir.
I made sure that when it was time for the music to be done, I didn't just know the music, but I knew it enough to either argue it, add from it, take away from it.
Yes,
you know what I
sir.
mean? Because there are moments where you might think that it was something, I might think that it's something, and I'm like, hey, Darian, like, what was this?
Yeah.
Because this is what I got from it.
Yeah.
And that way we're able to have clarity. You know that I went home and did the homework.
Exactly.
I also know that I can trust you to be able to lay down the foundation because you're playing keys.
Yeah.
Right? And so a lot of what we have to do is go beyond just the fact that, like, Lundy said looking clean. I just saw that. Looking clean is a really important thing, y'all. That's important. No, but we just gotta, we have to get beyond the point of, I'm talented, I'm skilled, I'm gonna kill, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Because there are many killing people that I don't call.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many killing people that don't get called because there is so much more that goes into, why would I want this person to be good for this situation, right?
Yeah.
And everybody also doesn't fit into every situation as well.
Yeah.
And I really, really want to stress, Jordan said something that earlier, he was like, your church is CCM, but you can play gospel too, right? We have got to be musicians that are multi-layered, right?
Yeah.
If you
Yes,
want to
sir.
be marketable, right? You cannot just play one style of music. You have got to make there it is. Let me get out that CCM spirit and give me church, right? I get it. I understand, bro. I really do get it. I'm so sorry. Like I just love what he made recently. I just love the music that the Lord is making in this season, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's just so important that we become so much more than just a one-dimensional musician.
Yes, sir.
Good for just one thing. Oh, it's time to shout. Let's bring Bull in. He gonna kill. He gonna kill a drive. He gonna kill a drive. Now I need you to play a ballad and you one note with me the whole time. You know what I mean? Don't got no feel. So that's all I got, y'all. That's all I got.
Bro, thank you for coming today, man.
Thank y'all for having me.
Well, we were blessed to have you, man.
Yes, sir.
And with your permission, we definitely want to bring you back.
Absolutely.
Everybody that tuned in, Jocelyn O'Hannah Brown, thanks for tuning in.
What's up, sis?
Carnell A. Smith III, thank you for tuning in. So that's it for today. We come back again next week. We're going to try and finish up the financial awareness because I think there's more. Rocksteady coming
Yo,
next
pick
time.
him up on your way in.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab me. Come over here together. Because he
Yes,
dropped
sir.
something that I think he got something to say.
Yep,
The comments
absolutely.
today, Rock, you got something to say, bro.
We got a word from the Lord.
I mean.
So, but yeah, so we're gonna come back again, and we're gonna go deeper into financial awareness. Again, the idea is, really widening your gaze in terms of, what music can do for you, and not just, again, looking at a Sunday morning or the Saturday morning envelope. There's so much more to music than just playing in church. So much more.
Yep.
So, your host, Steve Brister, Jay Mars, be back with us. Thanks again, B. Reverend Juice, you got it.
All right, we out.
Yeah, everybody all over the world.
Thank y'all.
Smile on your face.
Yeah.
Just for a few minutes, we gon' talk about. Yeah. This joy gives me this joy. Ooh, I have brightens up my day. Yeah. We've been paid by joy. For it's where I find strength through those sleepless nights. But joy keeps on.